Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to the 2023-24 iSMA International Social Marketing Association AGM. I'm Jeff French. I'm the president of the association, and it's my pleasure and privilege today to talk to you about what we've been doing over the last year, our plans for the future, and then some visioning, looking at some of the challenges and opportunities that are ahead. We're also really lucky today to have a great keynote speaker, Nathaly Pastrana, who will talk to us about social marketing in Latin America, lessons learned, and again, challenges and opportunities for the future. We're also joined today, and we'll have a presentation by Karis Schoellmann, who's the iSMA treasurer, who will walk you through the financial position of the association going forward, and again, some of the opportunities and challenges coming our way over the next year. Okay, just for those of you who don't know, iSMA, we're the International Social Marketing Association, and we're a federated association supported by a lot of local and regional social marketing associations around the world. Our mission, iSMA, is to advance good practice to capture and spread good practice in social marketing, research, teaching, and implementation. We seek to also document that good practice and develop and share and promote good standards in social marketing theory and practice and teaching. And we're also set up to help and work with our affiliated associations to support and grow networks of social marketing so we can exchange information about what that good practice looks like, some of our successes and some of the challenges that we face. So we're an international community that's seeking to develop great practice in social marketing and spread that adoption. Social marketing is a global affair these days, and we're very lucky that we have a fantastic network, as you can see from the slide. Social marketing is spreading all over the world, and we've got great practice being shared all over the world as well. There are some regions of the world, particularly Asia and Eastern Europe, that we still need to develop networks and contacts with, but that's something we'll be trying to do in the coming years to recognize and capture their learning and encourage sharing of that learning with the existing affiliated associations and networks, as well as sharing what we know with them about what good practice looks like. I must pay a huge debt of thanks to the iSMA board over the last year. You can see we have a very active board with representatives from all our affiliated associations around the world. These are a fantastic bunch of people who give of their time for free to support the work of the association, and everybody on this board makes an active contribution. So a huge vote of thanks to all of those people on the board who've made a tremendous contribution over the last year. I also specifically need to thank the co-opted members and volunteers who support the board, including our secretary, Angela Marcus, and Karis Schoellmann, our treasurer, as well as the others listed on this slide, who chair and lead our working groups on behalf of the board. In addition to all of these great people and the work that they do, we also have established, with the help and support of Nancy Lee, 9 orbit subcommittees. And the reason we use the phrase orbit is trying to get social marketing into orbit. So we have a lot of practical committees and working groups looking at specific ways to promote social marketing and encourage its adoption more broadly in civic and other settings around the world. And again, this group are doing a fantastic job in supporting our board level committees, and it's just great to see all the activities that are kind of falling out of this work. If you want any more information about the Orbit committees or becoming a volunteer yourself to assist us, please do contact us, and I'm sure we can find you something interesting and productive to contribute. So please do contact us about that if you're interested. And just an example of that. This is our social marketing brand platform summary that we concluded last year. This is helping us, along with things like developing a global consensus definition of social marketing and a set of key social marketing principles. This brand platform summary helps our members and others who are not social marketers understand what social marketing is, what it's about, and what are its characteristics. So these are kind of tools to help those who are kind of new to social marketing and those who are promoting social marketing and seeking to get it built into the operating DNA of organizations. So again, a great piece of work. Thanks to all of our volunteers who helped to put this together. So progress over the last year, just to kind of summarize some of the things that we've been doing. These are the highlights. This is not the totality of all the work that we've delivered, but these are some of the big ticket items. So there's a growing range of training and development services. One of our biggest achievements over the last year is to launch the social marketing case study service. So on our website now, please do visit it. You can now trawl through a growing list of case studies in social marketing. Please also think about submitting your own examples of case studies to that database. And this is a way to capture and spread, again, good practice and give people practical examples about how social marketing can add value and create positive social change. I've mentioned the brand platform for social marketing, again, a very useful tool to help us explain what social marketing is about and how to do it. We also published over the last year our first set of ethics guidance, which is again a great kind of a guidance document for those people who are considering some of the ethical challenges that always or mostly occur when you start to develop and implement social marketing interventions. We will be working, and I'll mention this again in a moment or two, on a set of practical checklists for ethical questions that again will aid people's thinking through how they identify and address ethical challenges in their practice. Again, we've got another great initiative, our new newsletter. Jennifer Dooley is the new editor of that. Please do send us your items to share with others via the newsletter. We've linked that newsletter up with the other global and affiliated associations newsletters around the world. So we've got a great interchange happening there. Please do send us your examples on news items you want to share with others. And if you're not already signed up to the newsletter to receive that, it's free of charge. Please do go to our website and you can sign up to receive the newsletter. We've updated the website overall as well. So again, many thanks to Edward Jacobson, our webmaster, who's helped us with that. So the website is now kind of updated on a regular basis and is a great source of information for those of you who are looking for more detail about what social marketing is and how to engage with the association and its affiliated associations around the world. We've also developed over the last year a growing number of translations of the global consensus definition on social marketing. Again, these all appear on our website. Please do help us increase the range of translations. So if you are a first language speaker in any language, please do look at the list. And if you feel you could develop a translation into your first language, please volunteer to do that. And there are instructions on the website about how you can contribute that translation for us. So please do action that if you possibly can. We're also really proud that it's taken over 2.5 years to develop the first set of professional occupational standards in social marketing on a global basis. So those set of standards are now available. And again, there will be a great guidance document for those people developing things like a curricula and job descriptions and doing personal appraisals on social marketing practice. So multi-use of those standards. We're still very happy to receive feedback on those standards and suggestions. So again, please, via the website, do contact us. If you want to know more about those standards, if you'd like to get a copy, which you can download from the website, or you'd like to make a contribution, we'd be really interested to hear from you. We're also in the process of developing, and we've listed already on the website, a course directory of social marketing, and we'll be updating that on a continuous basis. So if you run courses, academic courses, undergraduate, postgraduate, or practical training courses, and you'd like them listed on the website, please do contact us, and we'll add those in. So again, this is a service to members and those interested in social marketing. And just one last thing I want to mention under these kind of big ticket issues is our support for the World Social Marketing Conference and conferences in regions. And just to kind of recap, we've seen the first African Social Marketing conference happen in 23, which was a fantastic event, and I was very privileged to be there and take part in that. Fantastic to see all the brilliant work that's happening across the region, and the learning that can flow from that to the rest of the world. We just again recently finished the World Social Marketing Conference in Cali, Colombia. Again, another fantastic event, and again loads of wonderful examples of social marketing across Latin America, and how social marketing is being used to tackle some very difficult and complex social and economic issues, as well as health and environmental issues. Upcoming, we've been planning for this with our colleagues in Samana, the social marketing regional event in Florida this year. Really looking forward to that. It should be a fantastic event. And many thanks to all the people that have been involved in developing and delivering that program. And we also have coming up this year, we've been planning this again for a year, plus is the European conference in Slovenia, Ljubljana. Again, this will be a wonderful event looking at how social marketing is being applied across Europe. So if you want more information about any of these events, if you want to know about some of the upcoming events that we're planning forward over the next 3 or 4 years, please do contact us. We have a number of key developments that we're going to be working on over the next year. So I'll just briefly run you through some of the highlights of those. This is not, again, a totally comprehensive list, but it's some of the big issues that's worth mentioning going forward. So I've already touched on the fact that we'll be issuing by the end of this year, and we've been working on it again for the last 6 months or more, an ethics checklist that'll help people highlight and then think about ways to mitigate any ethical challenges in their social marketing practice. So many thanks to the working group working on that. The development of practice academic forums, so seeking to build more networks and connections between those people who work in social marketing delivery of projects, practitioners, and academics. So trying to reduce that divide that we have, like all disciplines, and build more coherent connections between practice and theory and application. Support for the World Social Marketing Conference, our regional conferences that will happen over the next year or two. The next European conference will happen in Montpellier in France, 2025. We'll have the next World Conference also towards the end of 2025 in Alicante, Spain. And we're working on the next World Conference after that, which we hope to stage in Thailand. And there'll be other regional conferences that we'll be supporting as well. We will also, probably from June, July of this year, launch our course accreditation service, which we're finishing the piloting of now. So this will seek to give a quality assurance review of practitioner training and/or academic courses, a kind of an accreditation service from iSMA and our affiliated associations. Again, this is a way of demonstrating our commitment to good practice in social marketing training. We're also seeking to develop a voluntary register of social marketing practitioners, which people, again, this will be a free service. You can log your details. It'll be a little bit like a LinkedIn of social marketing, again, to help encourage connections and cross disciplinary and cross kind of geographic regions of people that are interested in working on similar issues. We're going to be collaborating with all of our affiliated associations on raising the awareness of social marketing, with potentially a social marketing awareness week that'll start to happen hopefully this year, but certainly if not next year. We're also collaborating with our affiliated associations on a social marketing award scheme, a kind of Oscars for social marketing. More details of that will become available later this year. We're going to be working with courses and academic members around the world to increase the number of course offerings. We'll also be increasing our online offering of training over the coming year to build on the existing offers that we have. And lastly, just to mention, we want to increase our social media reach and presence. We have a couple of volunteers working on this already, but if you're interested in helping with that, again, please do contact us. We'd be delighted to have you on board. And just to kind of finish off this section of the AGM, I wanted to mention a few challenges and opportunities ahead as we see them. First of all, a big opportunity we think is to disseminate more actively all the tools and services that we've been developing over the last 3 or 4 years. So we've been putting a big effort into increasing our communications effort, so people are aware of these tools and guidance documents and start to apply them. Again, if you'd like to volunteer to help us with that, we'd be delighted to hear from you. We also want to strategically focus on promoting social marketing as an integral, built-in to the DNA contributor to understanding social problems and health, environmental problems, and economic challenges, and so on. So strategically seeking to influence policymakers globally, people like the UN, WHO, and so on, World Economic Forum, about the utility of social marketing and why it needs to be considered as one of the people at the table when we're seeking to understand and develop interventions that can really help and assist people to tackle some of these big global challenges. We also want to work with and make more connections with the diverse range of social marketing organizations and partnerships that are out there, and also linking with other organizations who share similar objectives in terms of developing social programs that seek to influence behavior. So we'll be reaching out to, I'm hoping to, building better networks and connections with other organizations who have a similar set of interests, so we can act in a more collegiate and hopefully more effective and efficient way. We also would like to see, and will be putting effort into, supporting the development of social marketing associations and networks in regions of the world that don't have them at the moment. So I've mentioned Eastern Europe and the Asian regions. This is something that's a priority for us, because we know that there's a lot of learning out there that we could be tapping into, and there's a lot of learning that we could be sharing with colleagues in those regions. So that's will be a priority for us, a key priority over the next year. And finally, the development and dissemination of the evidence base of social marketing. We will be conducting another kind of evidence review and meta review on social marketing interventions. Again, if you'd be interested to volunteer to help with that, we'd be delighted to hear from you, and we're very happy to share our plans about how we're going to take that forward in the coming year. So just to end this section before we speak to Karis, and she gives us an update on the financial position of the organisation. A final thanks to the board member of ISMA and all the volunteers, the executive committee, particularly the Orbit subcommittees, our affiliated associations, all our members internationally and regionally, and all our partner organizations. We're a collegiate organization, we're a charity, we're seeking to work with everybody who's interested in understanding and promoting social marketing globally. And with your help and support, I'm sure we can take that forward. It's now my pleasure to introduce Karis Schoellmann, who's our treasurer, who's going to talk you through the financial situation for the organization. Thanks, Karis.
Hello, I'm Karis Schoellmann, serving as the treasurer for the International Social Marketing Association. What I'm showing here on this slide is the financial standings for iSMA for the last 6 years, from 2018 to 2023, with each year ending December 31st. Of note for this financial information, what we're basically seeing is a snapshot at the end of every year. So reflecting a cash in, cash out account tracking system, not an accrual method. The first thing I'd like to do is to draw your eye to the bottom right of the slide, where we can see that we ended 2023 with $22,879 in the bank, so to speak. I'd like to say a few words about the income and expense side of things as well. On the income side, we see that regional and iSMA membership fees and dues are a regular source of revenue for iSMA. We also see that since 2020, income has been generated from online courses, where iSMA participates in revenue sharing for these activities. We've started to explore new revenue streams in order to diversify and expand our sources of income with such activities as conference support. More recently, we're looking into course accreditation services, as Jeff had mentioned, which will be reflected in years to come. On the expense side, most expenses are related to operational activities, such as the website and database development and maintenance. Other operational costs are related to things such as meetings and webinars, for Zoom, for example, for newsletter software, and for income processing fees, Stripe, PayPal, as an example. The other line item of importance is for costs associated with the online courses. And these costs are associated with instruction and the management of these courses. In general, we work to stay within a balanced budget, and the gain versus loss line seems to reflect much fluctuation, as you can see. But this is mostly related to the cash basis method of tracking that we're using, where we don't see the revenue until it's in the bank, and we don't record or see the expenses until they have left the bank and been paid. If you have any questions about this statement or any other financial questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.
It's now my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this year, Nathaly Aya Pastrana, who's a social marketing consultant who runs iSMA in Colombia, works extensively across Latin America and globally. She's also the co-founder, or was one of the co-founders, of the Latin American Social Marketing Association. Nathaly is going to speak to us today about social marketing in Latin America, lessons learned, and challenges for the future. Thanks, Nathaly.
Hello everyone, and thank you to the International Social Marketing Association for inviting me to present at this annual general meeting. I am Nathaly, and I will share with you some insights about current perspectives on social marketing in Latin America, as well as some reflections and ideas to consider to advance social change. This is an overview of the presentation that I have planned for today. I will share with you some ideas about who I am and my position as a social marketer, as these influence how I interpret different contexts, knowledge, and experience across cultures. Then I will review current conceptualizations and applications of social marketing in Latin America. I will share with you some Latin American traditions, worldviews, and practices that are essential to take into account when designing, implementing, and evaluating social change programs as well as research. Lastly, and acknowledging that my positionalities might bias my views, I would like to propose some thoughts and a way forward to advance sustainable change. So let's start with some insights about my positionality, who I am. I believe that it is important to share with you a little background about myself and where I come from, as where I come from determine my values, beliefs, professional path, dreams, and also biases. This process of situating myself is part of a core element of critical social marketing, which is practicing reflexivity. I am a Colombian woman from the Pacific region, but with parents from other regions of the country. This allowed me to grow up and live understanding the realities of diverse peoples and territories who have historically suffered from the violence and conflict, as well as of a large inequities and inequalities. My personal and family history are also shaped by the complex context of a country that is still struggling to reconcile and advance towards peace. Here in these pictures you can see me in Buenaventura, the place where I was born and lived for almost 15 years. Before turning 15, my family and I were forced displaced and moved to Santiago de Cali, the city where I'm living now. In the first pictures, from left to right, you will be able to see the view that I had from my family business in Buenaventura. The palafitos, steel houses that you see in the background, were places where many people used to live, and they were very, very small, and in a small place, many families were living together. And although they didn't have access to basic public services, they had large radios in which they put loud music almost every day. So with these and other similar views, since very young, I started to question myself about the inconsistencies and inequalities that I was observing, and through volunteering for local causes, I found a way to alleviate some of the complex situations that I was seeing. So very early I found a vocation to serve others. Later on, while doing a bachelor's in business administration, I found a passion for marketing. I worked for various types of organizations and in parallel kept supporting local social and environmental causes. After some years, I decided to pursue a master's in marketing in Switzerland with a clear mindset on returning to Colombia to help its development. However, I found many barriers in getting and finding a stable job using marketing for social causes. After all, marketing is still seen as heavily associated with commercial purposes, and for many people, not so much with pro-social outcomes. So while consulting for various organizations, I started to ideate a potential NGO that could use marketing for development initiatives. In the process of creating and idealizing that organization, I joined as a volunteer the iSMA Communication Committee, which I supported for 7 years. After a while, I went back to Switzerland and did a PhD in communication with a focus on social marketing. And while pursuing it, I had the idea to create what is now the Latin American Social Marketing Association, with the support of several colleagues who are now leading the organization. Now I'm dedicated to IMEC, the research NGO that I officially registered in 2021 and that uses marketing and communication perspectives to address issues related to health, education, and gender in the Global South. In parallel, I'm doing a postdoc in a multi-country health project focused on research that is taking place in India, Mozambique, Nepal, and Peru. So as you can see, I'm a mix. I'm a social entrepreneur and a researcher, and this influences how I see the world and live. I'm an early career researcher in the process of learning more about Latin American schools of thought. However, in general, I'm inclined towards sociocultural and critical traditions of communication theory and by sociological and critical social marketing paradigms. It is through these lenses that I try to reflect on my actions and conduct research. The sociocultural traditions include studying communication across different cultures and addressing macro level factors, not only the micro level. This is assigned to sociological and critical social marketing approaches that look at the different levels where change should happen to foster more inclusive and equitable societies. Also, looking at factors such as history, the colonial past, political environment, culture, intersectionality, power dynamics, and other factors that play an important role in how people experience a social issue and live. In the background, I left some research articles that are associated with what I just said. But in particular, I want to underline the definition of critical social marketing by Gordon and take it as a reference for the next section of this presentation. Critical social marketing examines the impact of commercial marketing and business on society and/or critically analyzes social marketing theories, concepts, discourses, and practice to generate critique, conflict, and change that facilitates social good. Also, Gordon, Badejo, and Gurrieri recently proposed a critically reflexive, decolonizing, intersectional, and trauma-informed framework to help social marketers adopt more critical perspectives into their research and programs, making critical perspectives more accessible to many of us. I find that the critical social marketing framework is relevant and also related to Latin American views on social change, as we will see later. Taking these critical perspectives as a starting point, I would like to share some insights about contemporary social marketing in Latin America. And to start, I want to share some findings reported in publications about social marketing in the region. One is the conceptualizations of social marketing in Latin America. They are different from other regions, and I will mention more about this in the next slide. The other is that in general, behavior change social marketing is not a priority alternative for decision makers. In some cases, they don't know about this potential. In others, because it is still linked to very classical views of social marketing, focused, for example, in the 4 Ps and seen as limited, and in other cases because of negative perceptions of marketing. In contrast, other approaches receive more attention and funding in specific behavioral economics, and more broadly, those associated with social communication, such as edutainment. I mentioned earlier about the different conceptualizations of social marketing in Latin America. To start, there are 3 terms used in Spanish to refer to social marketing. Mercadeo social in countries like Colombia, mercadotecnia social in Mexico mostly, and marketing social in other countries such as Brazil. Personally, I have internal conflicts in using the last option, as for me it is a sort of a symbol of colorization in language. And here comes an invitation to use mercadeo social, as it denotes more the strategic focus of social marketing rather than the more technical aspects of it, as is the term mercadotecnia social. Now, in terms of perceptions and conceptualizations of social marketing, over the years there has been an increase in this association with behavior change. However, it's still primarily related to cost-related marketing, public sector marketing, marketing for NGOs, fundraising, and corporate social responsibility. For this reason, often we can find programs self-identifying as being social marketing, but when you investigate more, you find that their focus is different from what you would expect. Similarly, there are socially purposed programs or initiatives that could be considered social marketing, but they don't know they meet characteristics of social marketing programs, and use other labels to identify themselves. This unknowing, or these people not knowing that they are using characteristics of social marketing programs, also happens in contexts different to Latin America, which could offer possibilities for the social marketing associations to jointly develop strategies to better position social marketing globally, while at the same time respond to context-specific conditions. And in terms of problems, as in other regions, social marketing has been used primarily for health and environment conservation initiatives. These intervention strategies or programs have been implemented by various types of organizations, including national government institutions, NGOs, and the academy. In Colombia, for instance, social marketing has been used a lot to design national level campaigns for road safety. There were a couple of presentations focused on this topic in the previous World Social Marketing Conference that took place in Santiago de Cali, Colombia last year. And in the conference, we were exposed to some work implemented in the region. For those who attended, it was perhaps notorious to see the active use of participatory approaches, and interesting to learn more about the role that edutainment and storytelling have played in behavior change in many settings. While I did not see presentations focused on the use of radio to engage and foster pro-social outcomes in Latin America, this has been an important communication channel in both urban and rural areas, as we have oral communication traditions. Hence, any initiative aiming to foster pro-social behaviors in Latin America should take into account this element, as well as the importance of collaborative and participatory work. In the pictures that I'm showing you here in this slide, you can see how cuenteros or storytellers are still very popular in our region. Before moving to the next section, because I'm seeing the time, I want to pinpoint that we are currently conducting a study that includes collected information about behavior change focused training programs in Latin America by Latin American organizations. The study is still ongoing, but preliminary findings show that most of the trainings are related to communication for development and social change. Some are in the area of behavioral economics and others in social marketing. At least the titles. We still need to go deeper and examine if the content relates to behavior change. Another preliminary finding is that most of the courses are in Mexico and are mostly found in bachelor level courses. They are part of bachelor education. This study also includes interviewing people based in the region and working at various types of organizations. If you have recommendations of people we could interview or suggestions of study programs that we should assess, please feel free to write us at the email that you see below in this presentation, in this slide. Also, I would like to highlight the work that many of us have been doing for several years to advance the use of social marketing in Latin America, most using more traditionalist approaches, but some are trying to advance socio-ecologist and critical perspectives, which is where I want to go in the next section. So in this section of the presentation, I will focus on the use of participatory approaches for behavior and social change, while for many people, particularly those working exclusively in scientific research and following more traditional approaches, this might be relatively new. Social participation has been historically central to Latin American social movements and development, and could be mainstreamed into social marketing research and programming in other settings. Starting with the definition of participation, according to Gelfus, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, it is a process through which people become involved to a lesser or a greater degree in development processes. And we can see here a figure summarizing what he called the participation ladder, which explains how communities can move gradually from being passive recipients of social programs or beneficiaries to agents empowered to lead their own processes for pro-social outcomes for theirs and their community's benefit. Knowing what type of approach is more appropriate to the specific context where we will work is important. For example, in more hierarchical societies, asking for interactive participation might be unrealistic, whereas in societies such as Latin Americans that value more the collective power, these approaches could be more appreciated. Hence, it is important to be aware of where we are doing our work and which type of approach would be more cultural, responsive, and sensitive. In terms of the origins of participatory research, Macaulay 2017 indicates that it is grounded in social action research and emancipatory philosophy, and that there are two traditions, the Northern and the Southern. The Northern tradition focuses on empowerment and social equity, while the origins of the Southern tradition were in Latin America, guided by the participatory action research, liberation ethics, and also popular education. And this emerged ending the 50s and towards the 60s, sort of in response to very complicated times, and it was a way to call for more structural transformations in society. One of the key leaders of participatory approaches in Latin America was Paulo Freire, a Brazilian educator and philosopher who is considered by many as the grandfather of critical education theory. His influence goes beyond Latin America, as many development organizations in several countries are guided by his work. Among many things, he proposed that education was a political tool for the press for liberation and emancipation, and that educators should get involved in the processes of popular context. He also advocated for people to be educated and able to associate their particular experiences with the structural problems in their society. And although these ideas may not seem novel now, they were at the time where more than half of the Brazilian population was illiterate. And for Freire, this was a culture of silence in which the lack of education alienated those who were at the margins. Okay, I'm running out of time, but I just want to underline that I didn't learn about him in school. I learned about his work while volunteering for NGOs. So collaboration is important for Latin Americans, and each country has different ways to materialize it. For example, several indigenous or campesino communities might have what is called minga, which historically has been associated with collaborative work, basically coming together and work for free to help do a specific job that could benefit the communities. In some regions of Ecuador, for example, I was there ending last year, and agroecology projects, people who live not so close often plan to meet every month to organize and canalize water sources to irrigate their lands. In Colombia, this connotation of minga has changed over the years, and now is also associated with social movements from the rural areas going to the urban areas to request for the respect for human rights. But these types of organized community traditions of collaboration are examples of when people are already organized and empowered. The existence of these types of informal social collectives should be taken into account when entering participatory process to respect and also to build from what already exists. Okay, so participatory work does not exist without dialogue. Dialogue is an interactive process to listen, to try to understand the other and learn with and from the other, being aware of our own positionalities, reflecting on the points in common and also of difference, and reaching agreements together. In dialogue, it is important to be intercultural, to value and foster exchanges between individuals and collectives with diverse cultures and world visions. Considering the diverse experience of a social issue according to social constructions of gender, taking into account also like intersectionality, and acknowledging that the experiences, the expectations and dreams of people also change based on their life stage. So implicit to dialogue is reflexivity and reflection. And with this in mind, I would like to invite you all to reflect about how you incorporate into your work these ideas of dialogue, collaboration, and participation. Participation is a process and involves much more than doing a series of workshops. It requires active and genuine involvement from all the parties, constant reflection and reflexivity, being realistic with the social purpose of the interactions, and acknowledging that power dynamics are always present no matter how participatory you are. Mainstreaming genuine participation leads to self-development and transformation. With this idea of mainstreaming more participatory approaches, valuing dialogue and the collective, I would like to conclude my presentation with an invitation. First, I invite social marketers to value more our traditions and embed them into our work, instead of automatically using models that were developed for other settings. This includes also using our own language and being bold in proposing other ways for fostering behavior and social change. Searching for our own identity, highlighting what we are as a region, and putting in the front our ancestral knowledge is key. I also invite you to reflect on how you could integrate more participation, dialogue, and the power of the collective into your work. These ideas are aligned, as you have seen very clearly, I think, with the critical social marketing agenda. Therefore, my last invitation is for all of you to learn more about these perspectives and other critical views that are particular to your regions. And with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you all for joining us today, and also for the International Social Marketing Association for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nathaly. Fascinating presentation. So this is the end of the AGM for this year. We hope you found it interesting. If you have any questions that you want to ask us about iSMA, what we're doing, how we're working with our international collaborators and affiliated associations, or about any of the products and services that we're offering, please do get in contact with us. You can use the link here to do that. Also, please, if you're not already a member of one of your local association, please do join, or you can join iSMA Direct, and then that will give you automatic membership of your local association. Please help us spread the word about social marketing and promote it, and please share with us your examples of good practice. Finally, I'd like to end this AGM with some final thanks. One, thanks to you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Again, a big thanks to Nathaly, our keynote speaker. A fascinating presentation. Please do come back with questions. I want to thank the iSMA board and all the volunteers that work to support the board. Without you, the organisation just wouldn't happen, and our services wouldn't be delivered. Also want to thank the Orbit subcommittees and all the people that work on those, developing some of the products and services and influencing strategies for social marketing that we're working on and will continue to work on. Also, a big thanks to all of our affiliated associations and the great work that they do every year, the events, the training, the guidance and the networking that they provide. And finally, to our partner organisations that we also work with and we'll be expanding our work with in the coming year. So this is the end of the AGM. Thanks for joining us. Please do join, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Have a great day.